Okay, moving into the first contentious story for this morning. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau designates the attack on Sunday night in London, Ontario as terrorism. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. Everybody has hopped as if the motive of the person who did this is clear as day. Everybody is aware of it. It is clearly terrorism. The prime minister of the country has weighed in to say clearly terrorism, right? We've got an entire narrative being built as confirmed by this person on the Hill. This is Cormac McSweeney, so Parliament Hill bureau chief for City News. All the leaders of all federal parties will be joining Prime Minister Trudeau at the London Muslim mosque, where a vigil will be taking place tonight following the alleged premeditated mass murder of a Muslim family. Okay, alleged. That's in there. Alleged is in there. Okay, but we have like judge, jury, and executioner for this kid. What happened to innocent until proven guilty? Has there been any court cases or anything like that? Do we have a jury of his peers? Do we have all the information in this case? Like, it seems like this just happened, right? To clean this up so quickly. It seems a little convenient, doesn't it? I don't know. Forgive me, says Italgal. Probably Italgal. Forgive me if I sound insensitive, but I find the whole driver kills 4 Muslim people a little too convenient. It seems to pop up just when Bill C-10 is on the table, when Trudeau is being hammered about the Winnipeg lab. Who's the driver? Why hasn't he been splashed all over? Good question. Yesterday, so I thought the Vigil is tonight, and Premier Ford says he's moving legislation to permit a gathering exemption. This was a deleted tweet right away, so I took a picture of it and added it to this. Echo Fashion says, OMG, either gatherings of people are deadly and will kill us, or they're not. An exemption for a vigil tonight? Any exemption to the no gathering rule proves it's arbitrary, unscientific, and just meant to be cruel. This country is beyond ridiculous. Yes, it really, really is. They moved legislation, and it wasn't legislation, it was just an order, so like that's why they deleted the tweets. But they made it so that people could gather legally for this vehicle attack, okay? For the vigil for this family, for this vehicle attack. Isn't that odd? Isn't that strange? The coronavirus can get you at church. And so we have to suspend that charter right. That charter right, according to the judge yesterday, was violated, but it made sense according to the judge because of public health and because you can't subject people to communicable diseases, even if they know the risk can come of their own free will anyway, I guess. And so Pastor Coates' jail was legitimate, and your charter rights are secondary to public health orders. I guess public health can rewrite the charter as they see fit, right? Oh, I'm sorry, mosque is okay, but your gathering in this, what is this, a church? Okay, sure. Yeah, that's illegal because it's just a gathering. Okay, but this is important. Is that okay, everyone? Like, really, I disagree at a very, very fundamental basis here. I disagree on behalf of my grandfather, right? And his grandfather. And like, we've got a society that was built on people who were able to worship, right, freely, especially in the 2,000 years or whatever, the church has gathered, and governments have, I guess, tried to stop it periodically, but those governments have been, at least I was taught, the bad guys historically, right? Okay, so let's get into this. London attack was latest of Canada's most deadly form of extremism, National Security Advisor says. This is just wrapped up in a tight little bow. This just happened. But here you go. We've got it. We've got it, and we know the intent. We know everything. We know it all enough to say this. Ideologically motivated extremism, or IMVE. IMVE, get to know this acronym. This is going to be a thing that pops back up. In particular, poses a growing threat to Canadian national security and is our most deadly extremist threat, Rigby said in his address. So this is code. This is to not say white supremacy. This is to shroud it so it doesn't sound so ridiculous. So it's palatable to people who are currently still demographically the majority in the country. But the people who are demographically the majority in the country are now the targets if they're suspected of IMVE. And what's IMVE? Sadly, we've seen this play out in recent days. He says, IMVE is the term now used by the federal government to describe violence fueled by far-right and other extremist beliefs as opposed to religiously or politically motivated violence. IMVE, ideologically motivated violence. Violent extremism, right? Okay. Here's the information on the driver, the person who it is such an open and shut case. They don't even need to have the case, right? It's like the beginning of Hook, right? When he's introducing Hook, he's like, oh, a man so famous. I can't remember. Hold on, I have to look it up. When Smee introduces Hook, he says, a man so deep, he's near unfathomable, right? Deep, unfathomable. And then nobody gets it, and he says, a man so quick, he's fast asleep, right? Captain Hook. Okay, sorry, quick aside. We don't need to have the trial. We don't need to have the trial. We know everything we need to know about this person who's done this. His name pending. Hold on. Grey Ridge Eggs Farms said Veltman, that's the name of the driver, the last name, was a part-time employee at its Strathroy plant, and it was shocked and saddened to learn of his alleged role in the attack. Alleged, but we've got it, okay? Alleged, but we definitely know that it was evil and hate-filled, and it was definitely his fault. Guilty, 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 guilty. Allegedly. Guilty. Unbelievable. Quote, we join our community in expressing condemnation of this violent act and offer our heartfelt sympathy to the family and the Muslim community, CEO William Gray said in a statement. A former co-worker, Armin M., who has a very long, complicated name. I also have a long, complicated last name, so I feel your pain, sir. Told Global News that Veltman had worked at the egg facility alongside people of all backgrounds without any problems. Armin M., who said he was raised as a Muslim, said Veltman was very Christian and would quote from the Bible, but never treated him differently. He said Veltman was homeschooled in his early years and left home as a teen and began working at the egg company about 4 years ago. The Nate I know, I'm not sure what happened to him. Me and a few friends were talking today and wondering if he hasn't been brainwashed by white supremacists online. Okay. So is that the conclusion that you would draw if you heard your buddy or friend from work had committed this atrocity, that he was obviously a hate-filled person, despite him never treating anybody of different backgrounds different, including the Muslim person here who's talking? Like, would that be the conclusion that you drew? Like, it seems odd to me. I think that there are other situations that explain what happened maybe better. But if you want to go that route, I suppose white supremacy is the problem. Back to this. But Hassan S., president of Yellow London Taxi, said a colleague told him he saw Veltman wearing an army-style helmet and what looked like body armor with swastikas on the front. Oh, so the president of Yellow London Taxi said a friend of his told him that he saw Veltman wearing swastika-like things and, army fatigues, maybe, kind of, sort of. Right, so slam dunk, baby. Put him on the stand, right? You say your friend saw what now? Veltman was aggressive in swearing at him to call police because he had, quote, killed someone, he said, of the third-hand story. When police showed up, he was laughing and told him to film the arrest. Once put in the police car, he began chanting, but the cab driver couldn't make out what was said, again, from this third-hand story. Facebook said it has deleted Veltman's account on Monday. I think this deletion of the account is weird. Facebook says, there's absolutely no place on our platform for people who commit such horrendous acts. We have found and immediately deleted the suspect's Facebook account, a Facebook company spokesperson said. So if there's a news article that claims that you did this and that you were hate-filled and you did it on purpose, who needs a trial? It's Facebook official. Your account gets deleted. Done. You don't get rights. Online rights? No, you lose those. Done. It's done. Because you've done something atrocious, right? And it went viral. Facebook can't be associated with people like that, right? And it doesn't matter what's true. What matters is what's reported in the press. Like, do you see the slippery slope we're on? This is scary because it's not just Facebook. Soon, what else do you do online that's important? Do you pay your bills online? Do you bank online? What else can they turn off because you've been accused of a horrendous crime that somebody says is hate-filled? This is a bellwether. This is the canary in the coal mine. This is a warning, a shot across the bow. This is not the same place it was 5 years ago. The law has changed. And our charter Our charter is as good as your medical officer of health wants it to be, which is to say, we've been locked in our house for 15 months, and there's no real end in sight to that. If you think we're going back to normal, well, you don't own a salon, right? Do you think we're going back to normal? Do you think that we're going to open up on Friday, and you can go get a haircut like it was normal, and book Great Wolf Lodge and fly down to Mexico for a weekend if you want to? Are we there again? No. They don't want to go back to normal, but that is their job. But they don't want to do it. You see? And they're going to use stuff like this to continue to keep us locked down and to keep us bamboozled. Bamboozled. That's going to be the title of the show today. No place on our platform. Bamboozled, Facebook says. Strathroy, this is an interesting aside too. Strathroy was also the small town where people killed Aaron Driver as he was leaving his home, or where police killed Aaron Driver while he was leaving his home to allegedly conduct a bombing in support of the so-called Islamic State. I'm so glad we have precogs in Canada, and we've got pre-crime units there to be ready when people leave their homes to shoot them because they're going to go commit a bombing. And if the police weren't there to shoot that guy, somebody might have got hurt. Good thing they killed him. Okay. Right? You see the problem with this? We're going to get back on track here. This is terribly, terribly problematic. It's very, very concerning. Here's Jagmeet Singh telling us about how white supremacy is the biggest problem in Canada right now. Here we go.
It is, again, unimaginable, the act of killing an entire family, the way that this now hate crime is rocking our country. I've reached out to some Muslim community members, and they sobbed hearing the news, thinking about their own family members that go for walks in the neighborhood. And to just think about the chilling and heartless and vicious killing of an entire family by an act of hate like that really shakes everyone's sense of safety and security. As we've said for a long time, that radicalization from the extreme right, from hate groups, from white supremacists, are the real and urgent threat to safety right now in Canada. And we are seeing
So our vehicle attacks that rare in Canada? I decided to look because, like, as far as I've seen, there have been people killed in Toronto with illegal guns pretty regularly. A shooting most weekends, if not every day of the weekend, if not a shooting most days of the week. I was keeping track, but then they scrubbed the hashtag I was using to track it. And having people run over by cars is a pretty regular occurrence, right, in Toronto. Don't believe me? Here, I'll show you, because I did some research on it. And it's not like, here is from in Mincinian, 10 pedestrians killed, hit by a van in Toronto. So that was a big deal in 2018, right? And here's some impaired driver. 2 pedestrians dead after being hit by vehicles during separate collisions in East Toronto. Impaired driver charges laid after 19-year-old pedestrian. 3-year-old boy dead, sister and father injured after being hit by a vehicle in Etobicoke. Pedestrian dies after being hit by a dump truck in North York. Mother fatally struck by car that drove off second story. This is going back basically to 2019. Child injured after being hit by fire truck. 5 pedestrians struck in Toronto Monday afternoon. That's 2019. None of these, like everyone, not just certain groups of people, everyone should feel safe going for a walk in Canada. Like, you're not going to get run over by a drunk driver or by somebody who's just trying to run over as many pedestrians, Grand Theft Auto style, as they can, right? This is not something that just one group of people should worry about. Everyone should worry about it. We're all in kind of an agreement that we're not going to hurt each other driving on the road. I'm going to follow these rules. I'm not going to veer off and go onto the sidewalk if the road gets busy. I'm not going to go in the other lane going the wrong way, right? Like, everybody follows the same rule. I'm going to put the indicator on. I'm going to wait for the green light. I'm not going to run over pedestrians, right? And when those rules get thrown out the window, then it's a whole other world that you live in. It's no longer a safe world. There's a reason people come to Canada and the United States, because the world we live in is not fraught with danger all the time, right? Because because everybody does follow those rules. But what happens when they stop following those rules? And what happens when only certain groups are told that they should be allowed to walk around safely, but nobody else should? It's driving division. I want no one to be hurt, no one to be injured, everyone to be respected. But when people start saying you should be respected because of your skin color, you should be respected because of your belief in the correct God, now we've got a problem. And we've got a big problem in Canada, right? And what they're doing is they're politicizing this that somewhat fits into their narrative, although I'll show you in just a minute, maybe I'll show you now, that it doesn't actually really fit into their narrative, right? Here's a clip from the National Post article talking about the Nate Veltman, I believe. Veltman has entered no plea in court, and none of the charges against him have gone to trial. Nate, quote, Nate is not a radical terrorist. He's nothing like that. He's not an Islamophobe. That's not who this kid is, said one friend. The friend who hails from the Middle East said he never heard Veltman say a bad thing about the Middle East or Muslims. Nate was a very close friend and never said anything bad to me, the man said. Another friend said Veltman never said anything hateful about any groups. So what happens when we politicize this, when we make it about one group over another group, when we say this vehicle attack is abhorrent and outside of the norm, when I can show you, right, child injured after being hit by a fire truck, I'll tell you, that's horrific. That's horrific, right? Mother and child. I read about another horrific thing. I think it was a drunk driver in a Mercedes, and a couple of kids were playing outside, and I couldn't even read the article, okay? Because it's awful, and it's cruel. The world is a cruel, awful place. But to now take a terrible, awful tragedy and politicize it like this is just disgusting of our leaders. Is far below what we deserve as Canadians, far below the decorum required by our leadership, and far below. You can acknowledge this, and you can be sad with the family, but politicizing it the way these people have done this is sick. They are sick people. I'm so disgusted by what's happened. I'm so disgusted by our country. It is unbelievable. And I'm sorry that I'm spending so much time on this, but I think it deserves the time. What they're doing and how they're manipulating the public using this is wrong. Okay? Aaron O'Toole says, tonight I'll be attending the Vigil in London, Ontario to honor the lives of the family that was taken from us in this act of terror and stand solid in solidarity with the Muslim community. Okay. Here's the Green leader. She says we should create an Islamophobia strategy. Right. What does that mean exactly? I think we've got one. I think it's being enacted right now. You locked in your home? Yeah. Doug Ford says, or this person, ALG Yahoo of Concern, says it is an undeniably horrible crime. Erasing restrictions for this, or easing restrictions for this. How many suicides as a result of restrictions? How many families were denied access to funerals over the past 15 months? Open it all. It's hypocritical, and it's done to provoke. And my wife disagrees with me. We had a conversation last night about it, which is fine. People can disagree. That's okay. I'm glad people disagree. I'm not right all the time. I'm not. I get things wrong all the time. But I think that this is being done so publicly and so bad, like it's being handled badly. I think from a PR standpoint, I think, and from like as a voter in my 40s, they're doing nothing but alienating me. But I think maybe that's the point, because I think they're trying to provoke. But other people say no, they're just trying to commiserate with the family and pay respects. What about all these? What about all these other things? Why the same day do they know it's a hate crime, and then like this 3-year-old boy could die and the sister and father not? And I realize in this one the person stayed at the scene of the crime, but why is it a slam dunk that this kid hates everybody or hates Muslims when his Muslim friends are saying that's not true? Like, I don't understand it. It seems like they were like, okay, you know what we need? We need this, and we need it to be politically this, and so magic, right? And it is. And the media is totally on board, and so are all the leaders of the parties. And I think it's disgusting. I think it's absolutely disgusting. Will Jagmeet Singh regret generating more hatred if the incident in London is deemed or determined to be the result of a medical problem or alcohol or just a mistake? All of the stuff that they're talking, the anecdotal stuff of he laughed after he killed those people. Shock does weird things. Your body responds in very strange ways. And I'm not trying to explain away the kid's response, but when you're in shock, regardless of your intent or anything like that, unless you're like trained for something like that, you're going to be in shock, I think. And I don't even know how you could train for something like that. No, Grand Theft Auto is not a trainer for something like that. We will honor their legacy. We will cherish them. Thousands of mourners descend on a London mosque last night for an outdoor vigil in honor of 4 members of a Muslim family killed in what police have called a targeted hate crime. Did he know them? Is there stuff that the police know that we don't know, that it's not being publicly released? If he knew them, then it's not a hate crime. It's a personal crime. Right? Like, Alex Pearson, is this vigil to remember the family and support London, or a political campaign? Because it's starting to look that way. I think she means the political campaign way. I think so too. In London vigil, remembering Muslim family, a vow that this is our city. This is our city. That seems like something Canadians don't say about grieving people. It's like, yes, it's horrible that these people died, and this is our city now. Okay. That's not why we were here, right? Like, right? No, but that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Here is Dave Jarowski. This is Kitchener today. Dave Jarowski is the mayor of the city of Waterloo and called Sunday's demonstration a slap in the face to nurses, doctors, and volunteers working to assist COVID-19 patients and to stop the spread of the virus. With People's Party Canada candidates from Conestoga, Waterloo, St. Catharines, and Niagara all in attendance at the event, Jaworski said it was beyond shocking that anyone would consider now a good time to be hosting a political campaign rally, either here in Waterloo region or in Southern Ontario. Quote, these events are simply nonsense at this point in time, said Jaworski. Organizers have always been held accountable under the law and through investigation. I think they can expect more charges to be laid, as has been done for the other illegal gatherings. Right? Clearly, this one, just fine. Right? No problems for this gathering. This gathering is necessary to grieve with the Muslim community and to celebrate their new city, London. Right? Right? That's everybody's here for that. Right? Okay. But in Kitchener on Sunday, if people get together to listen to a political speaker talk about his political ideas, that is white supremacy and should be charged. You should be charged for that. Right? According to some people. Unbelievable, right? So that's notable. I think that's notable. Here, that Southern Baptist Convention. Anybody got an answer to this? This is James Lindsay. This is 15 characteristics of white supremacy culture. This is nothing but an attack on our culture. This is nothing but an attack on the basic foundation of Canada. I promise you that's what's happening here. And I wish I was wrong. I would like evidence that I'm wrong. Show me evidence that I'm wrong, and I will say publicly, oh man, I got it totally wrong. Anyway, this is a person saying organized religion is actually all of those things. It checks every box of those 15 characteristics of white supremacy culture. So that's what this guy says here. Just listen, it's funny.
A good number of people that are part of religious organizations. But my own experience is part of organized religion. And I'm not talking spirituality, I'm talking organized religion. There's a lot of these that are characteristics of organized religion, regardless of the religion.
There you go. Organized religion, right? They don't like it. They'd much rather you just stay locked in your home and worship online. And even better, just order marijuana. Order marijuana and alcohol online and worship when you can, if you can get to it, right? That's what the government would like. Because anything less is a white supremacy culture. That's where we're at. And it seems like nobody really cares. I was saying that yesterday. It seems like everybody's like, oh, that's what white supremacy culture is. Like, no, they're lying to you. They're making what you do illegal.